Gengar absorb heat from Pokemon trainers? Welcome back to Shelby on Safari, the place where I, a wild animal biologist and Pokemon trainer, often combine my passions into one. Today, we're celebrating not only the birthday of one of my favorite Pokemon professors, but also as a way to say thank you for his most generous contribution to my fundraising for the World Wildlife Fund. That's right, Professor Dan, this video is for you, highlighting the incredible Pokemon Gengar, one of your favorites. You guys ready to explore the world of Pokemon biology with me? Come on, join the safari and let's get started. Gengar, the shadow Pokemon, first introduced to us all the way back in the Kanto region, Generation 1. As we've seen throughout the years in the anime, Gengar is quite the charismatic Pokemon, often causing trouble, delightfully flying around with Ash, or even Gigantamaxing. Which, by the way, apparently when Gengar Gigantamaxes, its mouth is rumored to not actually lead into its body, but to the afterlife. The more you know. However, today I'm looking into the Pokedex entries which state how Gengar absorbs any warmth around it, and that the temperature suddenly drops wherever it appears. In fact, some Pokedex entries give us a specific number, where the presence of Gengar cools the temperature in the areas it's around by nearly 10 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius, all due to Gengar absorbing the warmth. Now, I'd say Gengar is probably a form of ectotherm, in which their body heat is derived from their external environment. But why would Gengar need to absorb warmth? Some might say maybe there isn't a need, but rather just because Gengar can, to be mischievous and to startle people. However, I have a hot take. I think it could be to help them regulate their own body temperatures. I know they're ghosts, but hear me out. Consider their behavior to wanting to be around people, aka stalking their shadows, as a form of behavioral thermoregulation. Ectotherms can show behavioral thermoregulation in a variety of ways. Take, for example, bearded dragons, who bask in the sun to literally soak up the heat, but then they've reached their optimal temperature, they will move to a shaded area. By using one's behavior to thermoregulate, they can sustain average body temperatures that are optimal for crucial metabolic activities, aka feeding and even locomotion, moving. So maybe Gengar goes where the heat is to be able to soak up that heat, so then they can regulate their own body temperature and be able to move, eat berries, or continue to cause trouble. Granted, some Gengar seem a bit more mischievous than others, but maybe they can't control it because of that instinct to want to be around heat to keep themselves going. Ironically though, some of the Pokedex entries state that trainers get a shiver from Gengar. Well, that's nothing to do with fear, but rather us as endotherms thermoregulating. As endotherms, we use shivering as a first line of defense when we are exposed to quite cold temperatures. Shivering is a repetitive process of muscle contraction, and it's quite an important mechanism for heat production to help regulate our own temperature when the environment itself might be too chilly and we haven't dressed with enough layers. Professor Dan, I'd be keen to hear from you. Do you think Gengar is more malicious and cheeky in nature, with wanting to soak up the heat from people and scare them? Or is it more based in the fact that maybe that's how they thermoregulate? Either way, thank you so much, Professor Dan, for all of your help in my fundraising for the World Wildlife Fund as part of my challenge to run 50 kilometers for this charity that means so much to me for what they do for our real-life Pokemon. Also, shout out to the Professor Dan crew over on Whatnot for all of you who help play a part in my fundraising journey. Your support means the world to me. That means you, Sweno, Kaylee's Pokestop, Lionheart Collectibles, Dean, B-Boy, Adam, Harry, Scar, and David. You guys rock. Be sure to follow Professor Dan over on Instagram, here on YouTube, as well as where the main party typically happens, over on Whatnot. I'll pop a link to them down in the description below. But to keep your adventure going over here, why not check out the rest of my Pokemon animal comparison playlist right there. Go on, click it. I'll see you over there. Thanks so much for watching, and happy belated birthday, Dan! Bye!